To Chris Doyle, the Director of the Council for Arab-British Understanding. Chris, thank you so much for your time. Given everything we've heard from Benjamin Netanyahu, it may be counterintuitive considering world history, but do you think he sees the only solution as a military one?
He certainly has never supported a Palestinian state. This is nothing new. It has been something that he has continually put out there. He opposed the Oslo Accords. But I think what is intriguing about his very bullish, combative press conference yesterday is the way in which he directed it towards the United States, that the US that is trying to push the idea that there should be a Palestinian state, that there should be a two-state solution, and he is coming back straight at them and saying, no, it's not going to happen, that Israel will be in control of all the territory from the river to the sea. So I think that he sees, yes, a military solution to all of this. He has always believed that there should be some sort of semi-autonomous control for Palestinians where they, run their own day-to-day lives. But it's Israel that will control the borders. It'll be Israel that controls security. It'll be Israel that controls water, and that the Palestinians will not have sovereignty. He once talked about a Palestinian state minus. He was being rather disingenuous. So I think what is really, key here to take away from this is that he is doubling down on his position. And he is quite happy to risk a falling out with the Biden administration to take it to a new low. It's no secret, though, that Biden and Netanyahu don't get on. Netanyahu has barely got on with any American president going back to the days of Bill Clinton. But he is certainly willing to risk all of this, largely for his own political future as well, because it is in his interest to remain as Israeli Prime Minister, so he stays out of jail, and he wants to inflame the situation and to keep this conflict running.
There is a lot of politics going on in the background in Israel, and many people are wondering how long Benjamin Netanyahu may survive, given his popularity ratings amongst the public as well. So if there is to be another leader in Israel, Chris, do you think that could make a difference? Because the Abraham Accords are something that could be extended, of course, with Israel making more rapprochements with Arab states. If there were to be a two-state solution, it helps everybody.
Netanyahu is deeply unpopular in Israel. All the polls indicate that. I think it is very clear. I think that most Israeli commentators, most Israeli observers agree that when this conflict calms down, he is a goner. He's out of office. This means that Netanyahu himself has a vested interest in keeping everything inflamed. Now, it may well be that we will see a drawdown, and we are seeing to some extent that happening right now, of Israeli forces in Gaza. But of course, he has at least two other fronts that he can inflame, potentially with Hezbollah in the north, and we see a low intensity, medium intensity escalation there already, but also in the West Bank, where some of the forces that were deployed in Gaza have been moved to. So we could see a major flare-up in the West Bank that will keep this crisis period going forward. Is he going to survive? I think that there are people like Benny Gantz who are deemed to be quite popular. I think that Israelis are probably looking for somebody with very strong military background and credibility to take over from him. But Netanyahu will try to keep that sense of dire emergency, that he will argue you shouldn't change the leader in the middle of a war. And maybe he believes that his only way out of it is somehow to so change the geopolitical map around Israel by perhaps, in his own view, bringing about an historic defeat of Hamas, or degrading Hezbollah in Lebanon, or taking large chunks of the West Bank, that he can somehow start to portray this as an historic Israeli Zionist victory. It's a long road ahead in doing that.
Chris, just finally, just want to get your thought, and I know you could probably deliver an entire lecture on this. What will change for Israelis and Palestinians if Donald Trump becomes president?
It's hard to tell. I mean, if Netanyahu is still in office, and I'm not sure that he will be, it will be a very interesting test of their relationship, which really dived when Netanyahu didn't agree with Donald Trump that the election was stolen from him in the United States. So they had a falling out. I think that Trump will be more supportive, but yet again, Trump will not want the United States to get sucked into a regional conflict. And I think this is one thing that we are seeing here, that Biden also has the same view, but the Israelis are creating the conditions, and we've seen the escalation in the Red Sea, where the United States is getting sucked in. It's very risky at the moment. And it's really the last thing that the United States wants. And I think actually it really underpins the tensions between the Israeli and the American leaderships right now. And that won't change under Trump, even though he'll be very supportive of Israeli ambitions in the West Bank. He certainly isn't pro-Palestinian. He cut off all ties with them. I think that that will be a very interesting relationship to watch. But you know, we've got a long time between now and November, and indeed January next year if Trump wins the elections.
Yeah.
And a lot will happen in between.
Absolutely. Chris, thank you so much. Really, always really appreciate the